I am so excited to have Tawana Ellis here with me today. Tawana, I
Woohoo!
call her T. So when I say T, I'm referring to her because we go way back. I remember
Yes.
the first time I met her, we were at a friend's house. T was laying on the couch and she started singing. And I was like, this girl is a songbird. She was just singing. A calmness came over the house because we were laughing and joking prior to that. And it was like, oh my God,
It
her
was
voice is
probably
so
something like
beautiful.
and it was probably something like Mary had a little lamb.
I don't know what it was. All I know is it was like a songbird. So I
Oh,
had to have her on because I'm like, she is going to bring it. She is an amazing woman. She's an awesome
thank
singer,
you.
praise and
Thank
worship
you.
leader. Oh my God. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
That's
So
right.
before we get there, I want T to tell us a little bit about herself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Miss B. I'm so excited. We've been trying to do this for weeks now, and there's been delay, and we've had some technical
Yes.
difficulties, and it's just been one thing after another. So we really knew that we were supposed to connect tonight. I'm so honored to be here. I so appreciate your work, and I'm so proud of you. You have really, really
Oh,
been blessed and are
thank
blessing
you.
other people. My name is Twana Ellis. I am originally from Washington, D.C. After graduating from high school here, I went to Hampton, then Institute, now Hampton University. Once graduating from there, I went to California where I met my husband. I
Mhm.
lived in the North Bay area, no, South Bay area for 17, 18 years. Then he and I left there and we went on a major journey to Israel where we did humanitarian aid work for a year there. Then we came back to DC and here we are. So I currently work for the federal government. That's my full-time job. I have two part-time jobs. They call them hustles. Okay.
Absolute. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, and looking for other things to do as well. So I'm excited about being here tonight. My precious husband is not home, so we're trying to get this interview done before he walked through this door and start making a whole bunch of noise. But
Talking
I'm
about
so
he look
excited
probably
about.
coming home talking about he hungry.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
hungry.
like, okay, give me 1 second, bruh. Okay.
Well, I am so glad you're here. And as you can see already, Tawana has had like an amazing life so far.
Yeah.
And listen, today we're going to talk about something special. I already know, but she listens to my podcast. And T, tell us the story that you selected that we're going to talk about today.
So I'm listening to different podcasts that you have online, and I get to the one about baking, and you're talking about baking. I'm like, I didn't even know she baked. I don't know where I've been all that time. And so I'm listening to the story, and I thought, this really sounds familiar. This almost sounds like my story. And so it just like struck a tone with me. And I thought, this is so interesting. And I had to call you and say, girl, that story sounds so much like mine. So I want to talk about the baking story tonight.
Yes, the name of the story is called My Love of Baking. And I'll tell you a little bit about it, just in case you haven't listened to it or you listened to it and you forgot. Some years ago, I went to my sister's boyfriend's sister house, and I watched this lady make homemade rolls from scratch, and I watched her like a book. And I said to myself, I'm going to make these rolls. The
Yeah.
very next day, I made those rolls. And let me tell y'all, my brothers ate those rolls like potato chips.
Yeah.
They were so good. They rose, everything was so good. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I can make rolls from scratch, I can bake anything. And that
Yes,
kind of
ma'am.
started my love of baking. So in my
Yes.
story, I share about when I worked at JC Penney's in the salons. I'm just like Tawana.
Yeah.
I have several jobs, different things all
Yes.
through my life. I've always
Yeah.
had different things going on. So I worked in the
Yeah.
salon as a cosmetologist. And me and some of the ladies were sitting around talking about what we were gonna bake for or make for Thanksgiving. And we were all talking, and I just mentioned that, you know, I have such a difficult time making homemade cakes. For some reason, they don't turn out right. Carolyn was one of the ladies who worked there. She was an older lady, and she jumped up and she said, I have the perfect cake for you. And I was like, bring it. The next day, Carolyn came in and she had this old tattered cookbook from, it looked like it had been decades old. And she gave it to me and she said, turn the page. I think it was like 132 or one whatever. And as I'm turning the page, I'm so gentle because I don't want them to rip. That's how old the book was. And I'm flipping the pages and I get to her and I looked at it and she said, that's the one you need to make. And I said, okay. I go to the copy machine and I'm making a copy real gently because this book is so old. I made the copy. Y'all, I bought all the ingredients. I made that cake. It was awesome. It turned out perfect. And I took it for Thanksgiving. My family ate that cake like it won't nothing. It wasn't even a crumb on the plate. I believe somebody grabbed the plate and licked it. And that became the family's like favorite cake for me to make. It's called a fresh strawberry cake. And I'm telling you, it got so bad that my brother, one time I started making 2 cakes because one time I went and the boy had taken the cake and hid it in the garage.
Girl, they don't have the cake. He was like, that is my cake. Thank y'all. Back down.
He hid the cake because he thought he didn't want anybody else to have a cake, or he wanted to make sure he got himself a piece. So I'm looking for the cake and I'm laying everybody else. Listen, y'all, and ate up all the cake and looking at me like I'm crazy. Go out to the garage and
what cake? He done hid the cake.
He hid the entire cake. From that point on, I start making 2 cakes, and then I even start making cupcakes out of them because I'm like, okay, that's portion control. He can get one of those. I would tell his wife, cut this boy some cake. It's crazy, but that kind of made me into a baker. I absolutely love it. And you need to go listen to the story because there's some more nuggets in there that I share about this.
It is amazing.
Yes. So when you listen to it, what were your first thoughts, T?
So the first thing is I was so tickled that your brothers were eating the biscuits like potato chips. That just like, I mean, that tickled me. I was laughing so hard and I thought it was so sweet and so endearing. So, and you hadn't baked before. So me growing up with a house full of aunts and uncles on both sides of my families that were great cooks. I mean, they baked, they cooked, they barbecued, they did everything. So as a youngster, particularly growing up in DC and in the South in the summertime, the girls, of course, you know how it was in the old days, the girls were expected to be in the kitchen, but I wasn't too mad because the boys was in the field, okay?
Yes. Hard labor.
All right. And so anyway, my mom and her aunt and her sisters would say, you know, come in here and peel some potatoes, come in here and do da-da-da-da. And I went in, I peeled the potatoes and I'm left-handed. And they're watching me and said, oh, no. Put that knife down, put that potatoes down. You cannot cut or cook nothing in this kitchen because it looks too awkward. The word they used was flicted.
Yes, I know that word.
You know that word? It looks too awkward. And we are concerned that you might stab you, stab us, stab somebody. So you're gonna have to put that knife down. Now, fortunately, my mother, in her great wisdom, said, go sing somewhere. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So she threw me out the kitchen, but she threw me onto the stage. And so I'm really grateful for that. I'm like, that's got to be the Lord.
Yes.
So when you mentioned that you had never baked before, I thought, oh my gosh, because I'm sitting in this house working full-time from home because of COVID. And one Wednesday morning, I think, I want a carrot cake. Now, most people who have never baked before wouldn't think of a carrot cake or a pineapple upside down cake. That's or true. A German chocolate cake, but maybe, you know, a pound cake, you got 4 basic ingredients.
Right.
But I'm like, no, I want something more intricate. I mean, who does that? So I get all the stuff. I make the carrot cake and from scratch and the frosting from scratch. And it turned out perfect. And my husband was like, oh, oh, this is really good. Like not like just good. This is really good. I said, I know, right? I had to make another one. I said, I'm gonna make another one just to make sure it ain't a fluke. Made another one, turned out, they've just been turning out, just turned out perfect.
That's how it was with the rolls, because I did that with the rolls because they turned out so good the first time. So I was like, I'm gonna make them again. And then I start making them, you know, and just like you made that first, I think sometimes those difficult things, when we can do them with ease, it's kind of like a confidence booster. It's like let her make it, because this is what she needs to be doing. Because if you fail, you might not go back to it. I may have never become a baker if that hadn't turned out right. And because it's so difficult.
Yes, and it's very true. And so what's really funny about what you just said was probably cake number 35 or so didn't come out of the pan. And so I wasn't able to sell it because it was too broken under the bottom. I took that cake, put it in the freezer, brought it out the next day, cubed it up, and made the most amazing bread pudding ever. And you talk about family loving it. I took it to my brother's house. Again, thank God for brothers.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, him and his family, they just loved it. So, I mean, I just thank God for my family, my brother's family, my sister's family, my aunties. They have supported me because they knew that I was never in the kitchen. I was never one of the cooks. I was never one of the bakers. And what's really funny now is, Valeria, I look over my life, and on every huge season of my life, there have been bakers and cooks all along the way that I've been able to watch.
Yes.
And so when I heard your story, I thought, oh no, I am kindred to that.
Yes. But you know, this is what's so funny. You know, you talk about your family being supportive and everything, but they are very honest. And I will give you another story. I haven't written this story, but I'm going to just share it with you all. So we were at a cookout. My brother had a cookout at his house. And this particular year, I think I made cookies. Okay. I made different kinds of cookies because I'm like, I keep making the same thing. And yes, they loved it and everything, but I wanted something different. So I made something different. So I had taken the cookies, I went and everything. And so one of my nieces came and she said, Valeria, I don't know what happened, but this ain't happening. This is not happening. I was like, what are you talking about? This that happened. She said, I don't know what you did to this cake, but this ain't happening.
Oh, wow.
And I said, baby, I didn't make a cake this year. I made cookies. It was a red velvet cake. She thought it was a strawberry cake. Oh, that's why she was like, And it apparently wasn't a good red velvet cake.
Red velvet cake.
You know, red velvet cakes are kind of like a chemistry kind of thing. You know, it's a chocolate cake, but you know, it's a little bit more to you. You have to get it right because of the red. You have to be careful with too much food coloring. And it's just like a science. And apparently that person who made it failed science class. Because and the kids were like at me thinking that I made it and it was something that went wrong. And I was like, babies, no. And they were upset about that, but they were also upset because I made cookies. But once they start eating the cookies, they start eating the cookies like they was potato chips too. And I was like, no, and they grabbing and hiding and grabbing and hiding. Yes. So they'll tell you the truth, although it wasn't my truth. But kids, they will, especially if they know that you're a great cook, they are honest with you. And they are sometimes the best people to go to, because my brother is my go-to person because he will tell me the truth.
Yeah, I know. And you know, when you have relationship with people, like we have relationship together, when you have relationship with someone and they tell you the truth, you know it's for your good. And so you know that you can freely accept that information and not let it hurt you, because they're not telling you to hurt you. They're telling you to help you. And we want the truth. We don't want to be selling a product or selling something where people get it home and, you know, it's like, ew, what is going on here? No, we want the truth. And that's what's so good about relationship.
Yeah, because there's been a couple of times where I messed up, you know, I made a mistake and I did something, and, you know, whoever said something to me, I didn't take it the wrong way. I wasn't like mad or anything. I'm like, oh man, I should have, you know, I was like, oh my God. And then I would go back and rewind, and then I would find what I did wrong, because
exactly.
I found out one. I was like, oh my God, I saw the measuring cup.
Oh.
That's Tawana's husband.
That was my husband, y'all.
Yes, that's Marv, her husband.
Take the good, take the bad, and there you have the facts of life.
Yes, this is a real interview.
I told y'all at the beginning of the call he was probably gonna come in. Well, he did.
This is a real.
Go ahead, Valeria.
But I remember the cup, and I was like, oh, that was a cup measure and not a half cup measure. I remembered it after when they said,
oh my God.
Yeah, I did, and then there was another time something else happened, and I kept going in my mind, what happened? And I remember like visually seeing what I did or did wrong. So yeah,
right.
I'm not offended. I'm not upset, Now, if I go somewhere and I know it's good and somebody talk about it's not bad, I'm like, you the wrong person. You are not my people. Go on somewhere, find somebody else, because you like dry cake. I like moist cake. You've been eating your mama's and your grandmama dry cake for years now, and you don't know what a good cake is. Don't mind your business, because you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
I know that's right, sis. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we appreciate truth.
Yes. So has there ever been a time where you did make a mistake, and besides what the one you just talked about,
oh yeah, because baking is such a science, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize it at first. So first I was just baking because I had a recipe that I altered to my liking. Mm-hmm. And as you follow step by step by step by step by step. But I didn't realize how badly something can go when you make just a little teeny bit of a mistake. I think just a few weeks ago, I've had a bunch of cakes where the bottom didn't the bottom didn't come out, or I didn't spray it enough, or I didn't coat it enough. I've had several cakes like that. Pretty much all of those have become bread puddings.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh yeah. But I've had a few cakes where I forgot to turn the timer on, or like with my carrot cakes, I put them in the oven for half the time and then spin them around for the other half of the time. So there have been times where I put the cake that spun it around and forgot to turn the timer on, or I think there's been like one time where I forgot either the baking powder or the baking soda going off memory, something like that. But I think for me, things like this happen, like I'm still adjusting measures in regards to my sweet potatoes for my sweet potato Bundt cake, or the amount of carrots I need for my carrot cake. And nothing burns me up more than when I prepare my sweet potatoes, or when I prepare my carrots, I get them all grated, and I don't use them all for the cake that I'm making. So I save them over, which is fine, for the next cake. And then when I go to use them, they've spoiled.
Oh,
fortunately, I taste everything before I put it in the mixture, but it's stuff like that just makes me crazy, because now I got to stop.
Yep.
I got to clean the carrots. I got to shred the carrots. My kitchen is so teeny. I got to clean up, I have to clean up that portion and then get started again. But there is no joy like, I don't have children. We don't have kids. And, the joy of seeing somebody taste my baked goods is just, it's a joy that is.
It is so fulfilling, isn't it?
It's just love. It's love. It's love. It's love. It's fulfilling. It's peaceful. It just brings me joy.
I feel the same. I feel the same way, because my brother, one time before, I want to make sure that you tell them about the cheesecake that cake right there.
The cheesecake.
But listen, you know what I'm talking about. You got to tell about that cake right there will make you gain weight, y'all, but she's gonna tell you about it in a minute. But listen, so I made these triple chocolate chip cookies one time, and we were going, I think it was around Thanksgiving again, and we were going to the parade. And so instead of trying to find something to buy a whole bunch of stuff, I brought snacks for the kids. I was like, you know what? We are not walking all over the place trying to get food. I'm going to take some stuff. We're going to sit here. We're going to eat what I brought, and we're going to watch this parade walk by. And I bought the cookies, and my brother was like, oh my God, girl, what kind of cookies are them? So I told him it was triple, you know. He was like, nope, these are brownie cookies. These cookies are so good. These are brownie cookies. So he started calling them brownie cookies. And what he doesn't know was there was a mistake with the cookie. There was a mistake. And I was like, I actually triple what I was supposed to do. It was only supposed to be double. And I tripled one ingredient, which made them more like brownies than cookies. God.
So it was a good mistake.
It was a good mistake. Like you, and the pudding, it actually ended up being a good mistake. But what I learned, something that I learned from Carolyn, and I go back to her because Carolyn had been making cakes for years. She was much older than I was, and she had been making for years. And some of the tips she told me, she said, you make sure you follow your recipe. When you make tweaks and everything, follow it to the T. Make sure you measure and level. And I mean, she was just telling me different things. She said, just like you said, because baking is not something you can just throw here and throw there. I mean, you can, once you make a cake over 100 times, you kind of can, like that strawberry cake, I can just close my eyes and make it, because I made it so
with the carrot cake, right? But not the other cakes, no.
Right. And then I always had the recipe though. I always have the recipe because my brain is kind of like a photo. I can remember exactly what I did. We got so much
going on. If nothing else, you put it together, but before you put it in the oven, you check that recipe.
You check the recipe. You go back and I started leaving the stuff out on it, like because before I used to put everything in the sink when I was finished. Nope. I left the measuring cups out. I did teaspoons, everything, so I can check and make sure. I do the same thing. Right? Because it just gives you okay. There's the
Let me get that final check. I got that. The container with the nuts is empty. The container with the raisins are empty. The container with the carrots is empty. Okay, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yes. So before we answer the questions, because you all know after I tell my stories, I always share my thoughts, and then we answer the questions at the end. But I want to give Tia an opportunity to tell you about this particular cake that I cannot wait to taste. I haven't been able to because we live in different states, but I've tasted her muffins and some of her other baked goods. I have that cake right there. Tell the people about the turtle cake and the other cake, please.
So before I tell you about that, so my signature cake is a carrot cake. I love it. The carrots are fresh. The pineapple is wonderful. The raisins are so chewy. I just love it. And the frosting is cream cheese frosting. Mm-hmm. And so and then it never fails. It's a beautiful cake, and it also freezes beautifully and thaws beautifully. So I love that. I also do a sweet potato bundt cake, and I do a lemon pound cake. And this summer I did more peach cobblers than I can count, which is a blessing. Yes. But I was kind of surprised because it's a hot dessert, but it's a summer dessert in that we put ice cream on top. Yep. So, it turned out so nicely. I also can take my carrot cake batter, and for those people who don't want frosting, I put it in a bundt pan, but in the middle of it, I put a cream cheese filling.
Yeah.
Ooh. And so it turns out awesome. I'll take that same carrot cake batter and I make muffins.
Yes.
And they turn out great. It's just awesome. But my recent cake has been the sweet potato cake. But recently somebody mentioned to me, I guess, that they wanted a cheesecake with carrot cake. And I was thinking, I know how to do cheesecake and I know how to do carrot cake. So I did 2 layers of carrot cake and a layer of cheesecake in the middle.
Isn't that messy,
and
y'all?
It's all frosted with cream cheese frosting. Oh. And I mean to tell you that cake is amazing. I have not had it. I mean, it is so beautiful. It's moist and it's chewy. It's moist. You got the chewy of the carrot cake and the crunchy of the carrots and the pineapple. And then in the middle, you got that cheesecake going on, and it's all wrapped in the cheese, cream cheese frosting. It is amazing. And I recently found out that the Cheesecake Factory discontinued the cake. Not sure why, not interested in why, but I'm like, I could take up where they left off.
I know that's right. I know.
So I will tell anybody, you know, if particularly if you live in the area, you want to, I'm not sure if I should call it a 3C or 4C. It's carrot cake, cheesecake. So I think I should call it a 4C, but it's a beautiful cake. And I'm going to make sure, Valeria, you get some of that cake. You know what? I'm going to make sure you get some of that cake before the summer's over. We're going to work it out.
We're going to work it out. Yes.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I look at me stuttering. I love it. But let me answer this question, because we can talk about bacon all day, because this is something we both love. Yes. So the first question is, when you get stressed out, what do you do to relax?
I am a movie holic forever. I mean, that is exactly what I do. Like, if I know I've been baking and baking, or singing and singing, and working with my regular job, and I know I'm coming up on a Saturday where I'm like, okay, I don't have anything I baked all the way. I'm not baking anymore. And I know I have like 6 or 7 hours where I can't get out of the house. We happen to be a 1-car family. And so I will watch 2 movies, 3 movies, John Wick 1, 2, 3, and I got my popcorn. I am in it. And you talk about, what's really funny, if you watch movies like that, you're not gonna get it's like, because it's all crazy. I am just at peace and loving life in the movie world. I love movies. That's what I do.
Now, for me, believe it or not, it is baking. It's baking anything that I can do with my hands, because what it does, it takes my focus on whatever's in my world. And I'm just totally on that, whether I'm putting a puzzle together, I'm making a craft, anything that I can do with my hands to take my mind off of whatever's going on. That is one of the things, it just relaxes me. And listening to music while I'm doing it, I'm in the kitchen, and you know, I sing, but I'm not in front like T is in front singing. I'm behind her. I'm backing her up all that I can. But
baby.
And I will sing and put my music on, and I will bake, put a puzzle together, make a craft. Yes, that is my relaxation. Now, the next question is, what is your favorite thing to do as a hobby? And I think relaxing and hobbies are different, but then some people do it, they believe that it's the same. You know, like somebody may think of playing golf is a hobby and it relaxes them.
Yeah. I actually have a few games that I play on my phone that I absolutely adore. They're not really, I guess Tetris is my go-to thing. I love Tetris, y'all. I mean, I love the sound of it. I love when the squares drop. I love Tetris. And when all else fails, if it's like 11:30 at night and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to bed, and I'm still trying to calm down, I will play Tetris. That's kind of a hobby of mine. Now, I think as a youngster, my dad, which I absolutely loved, he wanted me and my brother, both were left-handed, my sister is right-handed, but he wanted his kids to bowl. I wasn't gonna bowl. I came home with weave and nails, so he wasn't gonna get no bowler out of this right here. However, I can watch bowling on television. I love bowling. I love the sound of the balls hitting the pins. I love it.
Oh,
I know. And I think if I hadn't had a back injury, now that I'm older and I'm natural, I think, and I had more time, if I hadn't had a back injury, I think I would have eventually bowled, but it didn't turn out that way. But I can watch bowling on TV.
Now, for me, listen, going to the beach. I know people think that's not a hobby. It is for me.
I love it.
Love the beach. I don't care where I am. If it's a beach, I want to stick my toe in the water.
Yes.
I want to smell that breeze. I want to feel the sand under my feet. I want to hear the waves crashing. I want to sit behind, pass in a chair, read a book. people
Yeah, girl.
watch.
See the
I mean,
sun come up.
yes,
See
feel the
the
sun.
yes, I
Oh
love it.
my God. I
Yes.
love it. That is like
Yeah.
a hobby for me. Just going to the beach and just sitting and relaxing. Yes.
I love it. I
But
love it.
listen, T, I want to give you an opportunity. Listen, you all, I know we're talking about baking, but she is so gifted and so talented. And I want Tawana to tell us about her CD. She has a CD and it's called He Is. And I have it and it is awesome. He is my favorite song on it.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
yes, and when she did this project, and her husband, the one that popped in, he's a part of the project as well. And we all bought the CDs and we were like calling each other and talking, did you listen to this song yet? Did you listen to that song? And we just supported her and we just think it's beautiful. So first tell them where they can find the CD and all that, your music, and then tell us about, how we can get in touch with you with the cakes and all that.
Okay, so my CD is entitled He Is, and it's, I guess you could call it inspirational gospel. It's got some gospel, but it's got a lot of inspirational tunes to it. Marv has a few tracks on it where he does a teaching about peace, and he does a teaching about Shema, which is Hear Israel, the Lord thy God, the Lord is one. And I mean, when I listen to him do those two teachings, it just takes me to a place of rest that I haven't been in a while. And so I just thank God for that. But yes, it's called He Is, and you can download it on iTunes, Spotify, all of the social media outlets, Pandora, that sell the CD. But if you just want to listen to it, you can listen to the entire CD on YouTube and my YouTube channel, which is Twana Ellis, and all of the social media areas, platforms. I'm Twana Ellis. So I'm Twana Ellis at IG, Twana Ellis at Facebook, Twana Ellis at Twitter. And that's where you can find me. I certainly hope you guys look for me. My idea is I've written 3 new songs. Oh. And since He is 5 years old, Marv and I will be in Israel in October 2023. And so it's my hope and my prayer to maybe release a few tunes while we're in Israel. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, that's
prayers
awesome.
For all that's needed for that.
And also for Auntteescakes is where they can find you for the cakes and all that on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, correct?
Yes, Auntteescakes. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have all this in the description. So wherever you want to go, whether it be the song, whether it be the cakes, or both, you'll be able to locate it and support T. If you're in the DMV, Baltimore, Maryland, Virginia, somewhere in that area, you'll be able to call her and you all can work it out so you can get some of that cake sliding down your throat, child, hitting your belly.
I'm boom. You.
Well, T, thank you.
I promise you.
Well, T, listen, it has been such a joy having you here. I knew you was going to bring it, and we had a lot of technical difficulties, but I think this is what God wanted us to say. Amen. When he wanted us to say it, because the first time we did it was different, but this time, you know what, God is like, this is what I want to put out there. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much, T, for being.
I so appreciate you having me. I love you so much, and again, I'm so very proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, and I promise you're gonna get a cake before school starts in September. Watch.
What? And I will let you all know about it. Yes, I will.
Love you so much.
All right.